I'm waiting on this shit to get really weird because you got that ice storm internet right now.
Yeah, I've got the frigid, nearly snap my neck falling into the pharmacy window this morning.
Really?
Well, I'm going down there. My mom is like gonna grab some pills for your dad. Like the script came in last night, so I'm going down there. Hoodie, t-shirt. I'm wearing the Shinedown shorts, my normal look when it's sub 30 degrees, and I get out of the car all confident, and then I like do like a power walk up the like this little walkway to the pharmacy, just sheet of ice. So I'm like, I'm kind of go back. They always have these two pugs in there. They're kind of walking around the pharmacist owns.
Yeah.
They're great, and I always
Yeah.
see them. They just sit out in front of the door watching. So as I'm walking up there, I see both their faces, and I'm sliding everywhere because I can't like. There's nothing to grab onto. There's no bushes or railing. I nearly put my head right through the door. So I walk in there, and Tracy, the pharmacist, looking at me. She goes, "If that was me, she goes, I would have tore every muscle in my body." And I
I'm
was just
wondering
like,
like those dogs not really understanding. Maybe they don't understand ice, like what they're thinking about
"No."
you.
They're probably
Like
like, "Oh my god, he's trying to wrestle with us or grab us." No, trying to hold on to my life because I almost got
I,
killed.
I was thinking more like, look, that guy's having a stroke.
Yeah. Oh my god, that guy needs medication.
Hey, we need to talk for a second about these communist mugs that you've made for Spear Talk because I'm right-handed. Well, I'm sort of ambidextrous, but mainly right-handed. And if I hold my coffee mug with my right hand, uh, the logo's on the inside. Like I already know what I'm supporting, right?
Oh yeah, because you think a lefty?
It's for left-handed people. You made a coffee mug for left-handed people.
Yeah, but I drink my coffee left-handed.
Do you?
Yeah,
Jesus, man, what is wrong with you?
so that's why like it's weird. But I'm everything else is right-handed, which is weird.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
hold
I
it
was
like
just I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that like rational normal human beings drank coffee with their left hand, but
I mean, yeah, I mean,
I did just call you
I
rational.
also like knowing what I'm drinking, so I'm like, I want the ego and arrogance coming back at me.
Yeah. Right. It's like a tattoo that only you can read. Like most people get tattoos where everyone else can read it. You get your tattoos where only you can read it.
Yeah. What have you what happened yesterday? Oh, they found I guess the infrared remains of Amelia Earhart's airplane.
They think they did,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I don't know. I didn't. I saw the headline. I didn't read the
But
article.
I guess my question for you is at what point like enough is enough? Like why do we care? Like what's the quest for this about? Selfish reasons, or just to kind of give a woman who obviously is important in history in terms of flight and getting lost.
Yep.
In terms that was a joke, people. And but like, why do we like? Is it the family pushing for this, or like, is it just to get conclusion to a part of history that has dumbfounded everyone?
I mean, I'm sure her family probably has some interest in it. I mean, if you had a like hypothetically say that your great or something way back further
Yeah.
than Amelia Earhart, but just say that like Sir Francis Drake was your, you know, and I think if I'm correct, I'm probably going to get this wrong. By the way, this brings into sharp relief something else we need to talk about, which I think every week we need to go back and correct everything we made a mistake about in the because I know we make a bunch of mistakes on here trying to come. I think last week I called the VA the Veterans Administration, and I think it's Veterans Affairs or something.
Veteran
You know,
Affairs
yeah, I
Street.
think I called it Veterans Administration. So, but anyway, so I think Sir Francis Drake, like he died at sea, like somewhere or didn't die at sea, but he was buried at sea somewhere in the uh, Caribbean somewhere,
Right.
and but they don't know where his coffin is, right? And there was a show on a couple of nights ago where they were looking for his coffin. So hypothetically, John, that's your guy, right? Knowing you and your personality, you would probably have some sort of an interest in being involved. You'd probably spearhead finding this coffin, right? Just to say, because
Yeah, maybe there's a like the whole Fountain of Youth or the Nazi Gold or like those where it's like specific.
But I mean, I say, okay, fine. So attach that to you. Say that some of some of the Nazi gold that was stolen and then no one has found it since belonged to your family. Like you have to make
Right.
it personal, right? I mean, it's a cool search anyway, but then make it personal. I mean, probably her family has something to do with it. The other thing is that you have this iconic person of their time. I mean, I mean, you might as well have said Tiger Woods or
She's the
Michael
rock star
Jordan
of her
or
time.
right. I mean, you might as well have said, who would you say is the most recognizable name in the world right now?
Besides Taylor Swift,
Taylor Swift, Donald Trump, like
Donald Trump.
somebody where you just
Yeah,
say the
where it's
name
like
and the
people could see a face and be like, I know who that
right,
is. Might not know the name, but I know that person.
right. So that was Amelia Earhart,
Yeah.
right? And so I think the fact that um I think the fact that she was that person and she was making this monumental attempt. She was close to the end of it and then just disappeared. Like there is no like I, I don't think we would be talking about Amelia Earhart now as much. I mean, we talk about Lindbergh, right?
Yep.
But not in the way we talk about Amelia Earhart because he did the thing and then probably killed his child. But anyway, I digress. Uh, but she went missing. She's was to never be found. So I think that's why we talk about her. I mean, dude, everyone loves a mystery, right?
Yeah.
And
But do
and
you think
part
it's weird that that technology is able to find that plane or whatever, yet when Malaysia Air goes down, there's other stuff they can't find a black box. Like
oh
it's
God,
just, it just seems weird. Like,
you're gonna make me talk about that, aren't you? You're
well,
gonna
I'm just
talk
like,
about Malaysia
that's
Air.
my first thought was cool. Glad we could
Yep.
get some closure here, but how about these other planes, or not even planes, stuff that goes missing? It's like with the technology we have, we can't find these people or things. Like it's weird to me.
I mean, dude, I mean, I don't think that. Okay, one thing at a time. I back to Amelia Earhart. First of all, I think that she. Are we sure that's it's her plane? I mean, there's so many different theories, right? There's a
Correct.
theory that she ended up on an island somewhere and was imprisoned, and there are people who say that they saw her. And what was Noonan, right? That Frank Noonan, wasn't that her co-pilot or her navigator? Noonan was his last name, right? Fred
Yeah.
Noonan. Yeah,
Noonan, something like that.
Noonan. We'll check. We'll let you know next week. Um, but
Last name Ramirez. Yeah, whatever.
yeah, and you know, bits of wreckage of her a plane like hers found around this island. Uh, and what was the plane called? What kind of plane was it? I forget. It's got a really specific name. It was a really specific uh but anyway, so like her plane is so specific that if they found it, there would be no denial that was the actual plane. So I don't know if they know that like if they it was like a magnetometer or something. Like what
Yeah.
magnetometer. Is that how they found it? Like a magnetometer and
Magnetometer. I think there was heat sense, a heat, like a heat thing too.
hmm, still on fire.
Okay, so they said
And
sonar imagery is what
okay,
possibly found the plane. And we've been looking for this plane for 87
like
years.
side scan sonar stuff,
Yes.
probably. That's like an orange looking image.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that stuff's super clear. Like if you
So
get
the
it's like
plane that she supposedly crashed in or disappeared in was the Lockheed 10E Electra, a 10
Electra,
passenger
that's what it
plane.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to. That's the word.
And
The
she's trying to
Electra.
fly around the world, which in itself is gnarly.
And there's only one Electra. Like, uh, here's the thing, man. Like some of the wreckage that they found around this island, they compared it to another. There's only one other Electra still around, and they compared it to that, and it matched like part of this other Electra.
Interesting.
So, so and that was 3, 4, 5 years ago. So, but this might be in the same place. I mean, that might actually be the plane. I haven't read it. But I just think we're so enamored by it, man, because she up and fucked off, like gone, and she became a ghost, and she became a ghost at a really young age, and or and I mean, you talk about a pioneer. I mean, just anyone doing that is you flying around the world like that is something. But in that time, a woman flying around the world was,
Yeah.
I mean, that was a huge deal. And so, um,
Is there
you know,
someone right now you think, like I know we talked about the last couple episodes about where science stopped or why it stopped, whatever, but exploration in that sense, uh, I grew up, I love Jules Verne, I think Around the World in 80 Days. The idea of a group of people using whatever means they can to go around the world. And the
Hmm.
idea of someone like Amelia Earhart flying around, trying to go around the world, how come we don't hear more about people attempting this, especially if technology has obviously gotten better?
You mean like now? Why
Yeah,
don't we
like
hear?
how
Well,
come
I
there's
mean,
no one out there right now doing it?
well, those guys that well, there was, right? They did it in there were some guys. You'll have to look all this stuff up, but it was like 10 years ago. They took a super light plane and like didn't refuel, like one tank of gas around the world. And that was a big deal. Um, those guys attempted it in a balloon. Remember that? Like
Yes, I remember the balloon.
8 years ago in a balloon. I mean, nowadays, man, but see what she was hopping, right? She was hopping, island hopping around. So, I mean, dude, fucking, Rick Ross can get in his fucking jet and fly around the world. I mean, it's, these island hopping around and doing that whole thing. So, uh, that's why it's not a big deal anymore. That's why you don't hear about anybody doing it. But that's why you hear about people like this guy who did we talked about it last week about going to the bottom of the ocean,
Yeah,
the depths of all seven oceans. I mean, that's something that hasn't been done before and is exceedingly difficult. So, and I think all these I mean, look, man, think about this. Like, who's going to be the first woman to orbit the moon? I mean, who's going to be like, that's the kind of stuff we're after now. It's not as difficult. Airplanes just, it's not a sexy technology anymore. I mean, at the
yeah.
time that Amelia Earhart did this, I mean, that was what, the 30s, right?
32, I think she
Yeah.
disappeared.
I mean, you're talking the airplane had only been around for 20 years, if that, and she's trying to fly around the world. So
In
that
the technology, the jump in 20 years for that from the White brothers to that is insane to me.
did you say the White brothers?
Yeah, they're the cousins to the Wright. Is it the Wright brothers? Weren't they
The
the?
right brothers,
Yeah,
yeah.
but to go from that concept to going around the world, it
Yeah.
seemed like I know we always talk about this, but the technology was already there. They
Well,
just
but
let
it's
us.
right. I mean, yeah, exactly. But it's akin to what we talked about last week in 8 years we went from having, you know, uh nobody in space to having someone on the moon.
Right.
I mean, that's the same type of thing. I mean,
Yeah.
that is just unabashed will and drive to get there.
So
Uh,
besides exploring all the parts of the ocean, what other feat realistically do you think is should be the next or is possible would be cool to see
well,
someone attempt?
Mars, I mean, that's already on the
Yeah.
horizon, right? I mean, that's what Elon's wanting to do ASAP as soon as he can. I mean, that's what the Starship is about. And uh, look, man, I think that if humanity can pull our heads out of our collective asses long enough in your lifetime, maybe in my lifetime, we could see that. We could see people landing on Mars. But it's going to take everyone. It's going to take humanity wanting to make it happen.
Almost like a
You know
hive
that.
mind in terms of let's
Well,
accomplish something together as a human
well,
race.
that's what the lunar race was. The moon race
Right.
was an entire nation obsessed with this. Like from the here, let's be honest. The government was obsessed with it. That's why it happened.
Right.
But now what you've got is and because the government was obsessed, the news media was obsessed, and therefore the people were obsessed. Uh, but now the government's not going to be obsessed with that because it doesn't enrich them in any way. It doesn't help them in any way, right? So the 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 private explorers, the people that can, you know, the Sir Francis Drakes of, well, Sir Francis Drake was sent out by the government, I guess. So maybe, maybe that's a bad example. But those people that just love exploring, like
Yeah.
Elon, I think that's what he's about. And because it's a private enterprise, and because, you know, some people find him polarizing, it's going to be a more difficult task to get humanity behind the mission. But I think that um I think it can happen, you know.
Like like
I'll say this, man, like I understand defending we're the countries that are defending themselves, and
yeah, of course.
I'm not adult. Like, I understand that. But this incessant need for war, like if you watch the United States government right now, it is just like they are just looking for a way to go to war, man. Let's
Who
go to
was
war. Let's go to Joy
the
Reid.
Lindsey Graham? Bomb
Oh,
Iran.
Lindsey Graham. Yeah, Lindsey Graham. Yeah,
Dude, it's embarrassing.
yeah. I mean, but anyone international, like our government is who beats the war drum, like not the people. Like none of us want war. None of us want
Yeah,
like
no one should
it,
want war.
no, but it's they're preoccupied with that stuff because there's power in that and money in that. And what's this drone strike, unfortunate that happened that killed these three U.S. soldiers in it was in Jordan near
Yep.
Syria, near the Syrian border. I mean, you're trying to tell me that we didn't know that drone was up there? You see, the thing is, the United States just looks for reasons to go to war, and these, I think it was the Houthis or something backed by Iran have this drone that attacked this base and killed three soldiers from very near where I live. Um, I think we let that happen. I think that the fact that they're like that with all the technology we have that we didn't know there was a drone up there that wasn't ours, and we were being
Right.
told, oh, there was a drone that was ours that was supposed to be returning at the same time, so we thought it was that, and it's like that's not how it works. Those things have transponders. You know if it's yours or not. Like
Right.
there is no oh, well, maybe it's ours, maybe it's not. Like they knew what that was. And again, attacking the Houthis attacking ships in the Red Sea is one thing, but attacking a US base is another, and so I think that was just they let that through, minimize the casualties, let it through. Now we got a reason to go to war, or another reason to go to war. And I think that's sick. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm not, and this has nothing to do with the military. I'm not saying these are, military decisions. I'm saying they're political decisions.
Yeah.
And I told Kelly today we were talking about that very thing, and I said, I don't know if this is a terrible way to think in certain ways, but I'm a very faithful. I have a lot of faith, but I'm like, I hope those people burn in hell. I don't know if there is a hell. I don't know
Yep.
if there is punishment in the afterlife. I really don't. Like I have no way of knowing if because those people never seem to get punished here on earth. And the only punishment that I can think of that they might have is that they're miserable people. And they're trying to fill some hole within themselves, but that's not enough. Um, I didn't mean to get dark, man, but that's just like that thought of
Yeah.
some
No,
of an the thought because there are human beings on this planet that the way their mind works, they try to rationalize things by going, well, if we just kill a couple people, then we can get what we want, and it's for the greater military good, and so
yeah.
they're sacrificing their citizens for for their own gain, and like I can't even wrap my head around the beginning of that, like
Right.
much less carrying something like that out. And it happens on a daily basis all over the world. Every country does that type of thing. It's not just the United States. And there are human beings who think like that. They're sociopaths or psychopaths. And I don't know, man. That's just like, you know, this whole keep us in a war. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't
Keep
know,
the
man.
war. Keep beating the war
Keep
drums.
keep the war machine going because it's and look, man, if you look, it's anytime that there's the what it's so transparent at this point. It's like when the economy is really fucking bad, there are one or two ways to solve it. You can back the taxes off of the people, give them more money in their pocket, let them spend more money, and it puts more money into small businesses. They can hire more people, and you can get the economy flowing like that. Or another surefire way is to start a war.
Yeah.
Go to war. It'll save you. It'll save the economy. Well, what happened? Biden has a terrible economy. The world has a terrible economy.
Yeah.
The
Everything's
world had it.
terrible.
The world had a terrible economy going into World War II. You know, uh, I happen to be one of those people that thinks that Roosevelt allowed Japan to attack Pearl Harbor.
Yep.
I mean, there are too many coincidences there. Churchill wanted. I'm not saying they caused Hitler or
Correct.
anything, or caused Japan to
Well, he's a
ally
product
with
of
Hitler.
what they allowed to happen.
He's a product of what they allowed to happen after World War One.
Right.
Because uh, Hitler came along at a time when Germans had no pride in their country left.
Correct.
They had been they were decimated in World War One and then just left without any sort of rebuild or restructure. Their economy was, look up the Weimar Republic. I mean, their economy
Yeah.
was people were carrying wheelbarrows full of money to buy a loaf of bread because the money was worthless. Um, and so here comes, this populist movement, called the Nazis and the Nazi Party, and that's how Hitler got in place. But I digress back to what I was saying before: is Churchill wanted the United States in the war to help him, and Roosevelt didn't have a reason, and the people didn't want war. Again, the people didn't want to go
Correct.
to war, and Roosevelt needed a reason to go to war. It's very ironic to me that there's this Japanese fleet headed toward Pearl Harbor. Now, I'm not saying they didn't have satellite technology and they didn't have uh, radar technology was very new, but it's very ironic to me that all of the aircraft carriers were shipped out and the newer battleships were all shipped out of Pearl Harbor, like the
Right.
day of or the day before, all of the high asset stuff. And it was allowed to happen. It seems like it was allowed to happen. Again, I'm not trying to. By the way, this is the same guy who talked about how about conspiracies last week and how I don't know how they can happen, but this
No,
is just where I'm at. So let's just go with this. But our aircraft carriers just happened to be out to sea for no exercises or anything. They just literally
yeah.
moved them out of the harbor.
Conveniently in a situation where that could happen.
Right. And then 3,000 Americans die, and Roosevelt has his reason to go to war.
Yep.
Also, the War Powers Act, which got him a third term as president. Is there only 3-term president. Probably would have been 4 if he hadn't died.
Right. What were the newspapers saying with Churchill and Japan doing their thing? Was everything, I mean, everything, the people that was reading this stuff didn't want the war. But like, what was the, because I visually, I can actually remember when the Pearl Harbor, I see the old clips and stuff like family members have kept over the years
Hmm.
and stuff like that. When it happens, it's like 9/11 is another good example where you create the situation that, again, 9/11 has its own theories and stuff with it, why it was started or happened.
Yep.
But it's almost like you create a situation and you manifest an idea in your head to kind of create this global type of whether it's war or
Yeah.
conflict. But you also know in that moment of doing this, when the evil act happens, that all humans like get together and wave the American flag and fuck everyone else. Like we're pro America, we're gonna do this, and the bad guys. Well, how come they can't? Is there no other way to create that sense of American or not even American pride, your own country pride, without manifesting or
Yeah.
creating some type of evil,
Look,
like an attack or something like that? Like, it just seems weird to me that
if you,
we can. That only stems from planting an evil seed.
well, because we're not. Look, man, I don't know what it's like in other countries, but it seems like it's like this in other Western countries, at least recently. At least it seems like it's been this way in other Western countries since I was, over 20 years old, which is we don't want you to have pride in your country because a happy, united country is not controllable. We can't control you if you're happy. We can control you if you're miserable. So we can control you if we tell you that everything's terrible and you shouldn't
Right.
love where you live and you're living in a racist country and the last thing you should do is be proud of who you are and where you're from.
Right.
Uh, you know, because and that's during the times of no war, right? Like everything's pretty peaceful. But what do you need when you go to war? Well, then you need a united people. You need a united front of people to be all about what you're doing, all
Yeah.
about your war, right? And this is what takes me back to when the first Gulf War happened. I remember being a kid and watching. I remember we were on summer vacation when Iraq rolled into Kuwait, right? And I remember watching
Yep.
that on TV. I remember my dad just being like, "This is not good." And at the time, I didn't really understand exactly what was going on. I didn't understand the politics of it. Um, but you watch Kuwait roll into Iraq, and then we're in a war. And my dad was a naval commander back in the day. He wasn't during that time, but he had, was retired
Right. Right.
military, and all of the men in my family were retired military. Um, and so of course they jump into this mode that they've been in before during Vietnam or during well, Vietnam's another one, right?
Right.
We could go down that rabbit hole too. But we jump into that thing of like national pride, and so I remember just being like, and I also grew up obsessed with airplanes. I grew up obsessed with jets and
Yeah, of
military
course.
military tech and stuff like that, you know. And so I just remember being, like watching. I didn't understand what I was watching, right? I was watching people die on TV. It was the first TV war, you know. And I'm watching people, but I didn't process it as I'm watching people die. I processed it as, uh, yeah, look at what we're doing. These people that did something wrong, and we're fucking them up, and here's the thing, man. Like the men and women of the military, of any military in any country, are there to do their job. They're there to follow orders and do what they're told to do.
Right.
Again, this is not a I am the most uh pro military, pro people who protect us and keep us safe person, you know. The people that are just doing their job, absolutely 1000%.
Yeah.
And I think you know that about me, John. But later on, when I realized what I had been watching, I was ashamed of it, man. I was like, wow, I was sitting there going, you know, cheering for the deaths of people, of civilians, and also of a war of a military in Iraq that was vastly outmatched, and we're just burning them to death and blazing over them and stuff. And here's Geraldo Rivera riding a tank
Oh,
into, into battle with,
with
uh,
Kevlar on.
yeah, dude, like it was very perverse. And so, but that's what they need in that moment. And it'll happen again. This is what has me worried about this year. This year, I feel like there's something is going to happen in the United States. I feel like there's going to be an attack of some sort. I feel like there's going to be, look, our border. I don't want to get into a border conversation, but
Yeah, of course.
for me, it has very little to do with people wanting to immigrate to this country. It has more to do with who else is coming into this country. And I don't know if you've seen the video of that Middle Eastern gentleman who is
Yes.
who's at the border, and somebody's like, "Well, who are you? What are you doing here?" And his only comment is, "You'll know who I am soon enough." That was his
Yep.
comment. That's what he said. "You'll know who I am soon enough. I'll show you." Right? So, and we also have people from China coming over the border, and and I'm not saying that they're all, but it seems very invasion-y to me, and it's being allowed to happen. Like our government is allowing. We have no border. We have nothing. But just, in fact, I'll just say it now. If you ever wanted the time to come to the United States, this is the time, because you can just walk in. Which for people who live here and we just want security and we want to know who's in our country, that sucks. And I have this feeling like we're going to something's going to happen. We're going to see something like what happened in Israel, maybe, or something in the United States this year. And what's that going to do? That's going to galvanize the United States for war. That's going to
Well,
galvanize the people for war. And again, man, I just feel like that's what all of that is about. That's what all these things I'm trying to tie this all together into. That's what I feel is happening. I don't, man, I think it's just comes with age and common sense and wisdom that war is just I'm not saying you can't look, if there is a time when one must defend themselves, that's different.
correct. Correct.
But I don't, some of this I don't know. I don't know about it. So I just some of what's going on and the way it's being done, it's just, just it's only the politicians. It's only the
Yeah.
politicians out there telling us
Bob
how we need
'em.
to how we need to go kill people.
Bob 'em. Blow 'em
Yeah,
up.
man. And uh yeah, man. It's and that look, man, this is what sucks about the border as well. I said I wasn't going to get into it, but the fact that there are people who are just looking for a better life, you know, and they're being used as pawns too in this. They're being used as a different kind of cannon fodder for the politicians, which is perhaps the politicians that want evil, bad actors getting in to the United States are using people who just want a better life as a sort of political human shield for the people who oppose the border being open, because then you're told, well, you don't want the border open, you're a racist. These people just want a better life, and you're a racist. And that term racist gets thrown around, and it's like there's nothing could be further from the truth.
Correct.
I understand. Look, I'm here because of immigrants. You're here because of immigrants.
Correct.
I that is, to me, nothing makes me more proud as an American, as I absolutely adore seeing an immigrant family who has a small business, who are thriving, here in the United States. I've got neighbors who are immigrants who are here, and they're the sweetest people. That's not the point. The point is you have a an interstate down there of people we can't keep track of rolling into the United States to the tune of 280,000 people a month right now. Think
Yeah.
about that. 280,000 people a month. Not all of them are terrorists. Not all of them are bad actors. Not all of them have most of them aren't.
Yeah.
But it's the cyanide in the M&M bowl thing,
Do you think
thought
they're
experiment.
do you think they're COVID
Where
testing them though?
Oh, of course, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
all
Yeah, just making
every
sure.
one of them, every one of them.
Yeah, for
Uh,
science. Yep.
yeah, but it's you got a bowl of M&Ms, and there in those M&Ms is one M&M that will kill you instantly.
Are you taking that
The rest
risk?
the rest of them are fine. You know,
Hmm.
have at it and eat the M&Ms, right? Or are you going to eat them? Are you going to eat the M&Ms? I'm not. But that's what we have going on. We have the sort of the human equivalent of that happening right now. Most of those people are you know or just want a better life. And look, man, that's not to mention the trafficking or whatever else is
Of
going
course, the
on.
drugs, the guns.
Yeah,
The I
the
think it,
humans.
yeah, the I think it was us. Well, it was Zach and Brett doing an acoustic show in New York for like I think Atlantic Records this fall. So Chris Lightcap and I were there, and then we have a day off before. So me, him, his wife, and kids go to Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island for the day. It was just kind of surreal because like seeing kids that young trying to ask questions about,
Hmm.
oh wow, like what do you mean people came through here? And you could see like the record books of everyone that came through. And it's like trying to tell these kids who are three, four, set, whatever Nick and whoever they're old are, hey,
Yeah,
this is what it was back in the day. And to
yeah.
see the procedure of coming from another country, coming here legally and being documented, and if you're sick, we got to take care of you, but you're good to go. Here are your papers, and like so, me and Chris sit back there and his wife are just like, obviously, we're all like, dude, this border issue is a problem, and it's just kind of unique, wondering why people are against that type of setup again.
Because there's no benefit in it for the politicians. It's like just cause chaos. And I know that it took me a lot. Like, I don't think that my viewpoint now is a result of me getting like older and more jaded or anything. I really think that it's a case of me uh spending a lot of my life being looking at the world through this naive rose-tinted
Yeah.
spectrum, where well, I really, really, really went through a long time in my life where I was like, you know, I didn't believe that evil was as pervasive as it is. I didn't believe that it was as rampant. I thought that I really thought that the majority of people in our governments wanted to do good. And you find out when you get older that it's quite the opposite. I have friends that are politicians now,
Yeah.
and I talk with them about it a lot. And it's like they're like, you have no idea, no idea.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna name drop your friend, but knowing who I think I know you're talking about, having met him a bunch of times, I always wonder with people like that who are so good and so inherently like they're. I mean, I don't want to get religious here, but it's a he wants to do good, and it's like at what point or what percentage of these politicians that started there they get corrupted and beat down and jaded by sponsors and
Or
stuff
you
that
just get bought. And it's like, I think
yeah
that at some point you have to decide, look, if you want to be a true altruistic uh do-gooder, a person who wants to do good, uh then you don't have a price. And at some point you're going to be asked to name your price. And
Carrie Lake.
yeah, right. And so, the there is no box for I don't have a price. There's a box for my price is this, or this. And if you try to if you try to click, box E, which is I don't have a price, you're
You're a
you're gonna have
problem.
no you're you're a problem, and B, you're as far as the way the government operates, you're inept at that point, right? You're not gonna have any power. You're not gonna have any friends. You're not gonna be able to do anything anyway. You're not gonna
Correct.
be able to get anything through. You're not gonna be able to get any bills passed. You're just gonna be a problem, and they're just gonna want you gone. Uh, and it's really sad, man. So now it's like I look at our governments, meaning the world governments, not just the United States, but it's what's closest to us to talk about I look at it through that lens of follow the money, follow the power. What does what do they have to do to maintain control? And look, man, they've got most of America in a place where if they have their $8 coffee and their $1,000 iPhone and their Netflix account, they don't care what happens.
No.
Most Americans, most people in the world, if they just have that stuff and they don't feel like they're being bothered, that's it. And I'm speaking about the United States. I know we got people all over the world watching this, but you can probably apply this to
Yeah,
your
of course.
countries. But in the United States, it's very evident to me that the United States has become this analog for the Matrix, like the movie, where the people are just batteries. We are literally
Fuel
uh
cells.
we're worker bees where we are, yeah, we're money cells, right?
Yeah.
So the school systems in the United States were designed by the Rockefellers back in the teens and 20s, right? They set up the public school system to make workers, not to make entrepreneurs, not to make free thinkers, not to make people who can make decisions on their own, but to make drones, to make people that can just go into a factory and work a 9 to 5 job and never get out of it, and never escape, because
Right.
that's what they need. And so now what we are in the United States is we are drone worker bees that send our money to the government at the tune of, some of us, 49% of our income goes to our government, which then never comes back to the people. It goes away from our country to other countries to buy influence and to buy favors
Right.
and to make war. And our roads are falling apart. Our schools are falling apart. Our society is falling apart. None of that, our veteran, like the VA, man, the stuff that I hear about with the VA, we talked
Yeah.
about some of this stuff last week, knowing and I know we've got fans in Ukraine, and I'm all about helping our allies and helping people. I'm not saying that I don't think that we should help at all, but we've sent how many billions and hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine,
And they want more.
hundreds of
Yeah.
billions of dollars of our money that we made that is supposed to go to our country is just sent away and sent away and sent away. And in the meantime, we just continue to work. We're just the batteries. We're just the drones. We just continue to make more of that money for our politicians to buy influence around the world. That's all it is. That's what we've become. And uh, where's our VA? Like, I just think about that. Like $10 billion put into the VA, 10 billion of that 100 whatever billion to spend on the men and women who have already served in the wars that you've sent them all over the world to do. You know, 10 billion of that money would completely restructure that
Oh,
entire outfit. The Veterans Administration would or Veterans Affairs rather would I did it again, would completely restructure it. But we're not, but our politicians aren't going to do that. We're told there's no money. That's what we're told. There's no money for that. We're told we just don't have the budget to fix this road. We just don't have the budget for this. We
yeah.
don't have the budget for that. Well, you got the budget to buy war, and you have the budget to buy world leaders, and you have the budget to play, this fucked up game of Stratego that you fucking, you
Yeah.
know, that you play. It's so that's who we are. That's what America is. That's who Americans are now. We are we are money drones for America to buy world influence. Because here's the deal, man. At the end of the day, it used to be that America had influence around the world because we helped people. We had financial interest. I'm saying like it really helped people, helped
Yeah.
build countries up, right? This is what we did after World War II, rebuilding countries and trying to help. At least it seems that way on the surface. There was probably tons of financial influence with that as well. Uh, but now we get influence through A, buying it outright, and B, threatening people with our fucking military might. That's
Right.
that's that's what we're, and this is why China is kind of packing our lunch right now because they're going into these countries like in Africa and going, "Oh, you need infrastructure? Let us build you some. We'll help you out. You need water? Well,
Yeah.
let's dam up a river and get you some hydroelectric power first, and then we'll build you some roads, and then we'll get you some clean water." And these countries are like, "Damn, all America's ever done is come in here and blow us up," you know.
Yeah.
And again, man, I'm not ashamed of my country. I'm ashamed of my politicians. I'm ashamed of our government. I'm not ashamed of my country. I'm not ashamed of the men and women in uniform.
Right.
I that shit runs deep with me, man, and my family, and I am all about it. But when it comes to the politicians, and by the way, there's not a single soldier, Marine, airman, naval officer, seaman. I didn't want to use that word, but that I talk with who doesn't feel the same way I feel.
Correct.
You know, um, I'm sure there are some, but they probably have political aspirations. By the way, look at the Jimmy Neutron hair I
God,
got going
boy,
on right now.
base genius over here.
uh, anyway, I want to go back to Amelia Earhart's plane
Well,
and
can
and what? Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna segue off that, but
Hashtag
uh,
cancel Shinedown.
hashtag cancel Amelia Earhart's airplane. Hashtag get up. So when I was doing like the stuff came through with Amelia Earhart stuff, I started going to like Lewis and Clark and like explorers like that,
Yeah.
and I've always been fascinated with that kind of culture of the American frontier. And
Dude.
but then I started laughing, and I don't know if you've told a lot of people this. Remember that one that one time you and I were fishing in New Hampshire and you got lost in the woods
Yeah. I
and I
got
was in the
completely lost
car?
in the
But like,
woods. Yeah.
but so I started thinking of that, going,
I
here we
remember I used that
are,
analogy. I used that
here
analogy
here
actually.
we are in 2023, no way of calling each other. I
Yeah.
hear him. If he's hooting and hollering, I might be able to hear him based on where I'm at.
Yep.
But how much of that what they did was skill versus luck? I mean, I think it's
Oh,
pretty like even, right?
well, what did Seneca, right? Said luck
Yes.
is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
So there was obviously skill. There's skill involved in luck for sure. I ended up where I am in this band because of luck and skill. Those two things combined. I mean, it's not I often think about the timing that it took for the things that had to line up and go right for me in my career, and then for me and Brent and Barry to meet. And
Yeah.
it's pretty staggering actually, to think about how luck plays into things like that. Um, but I mean, obviously Lewis and Clark were skilled, you know, uh, pioneers and
Right.
frontiersmen, and also skilled politicians in the literal sense, not in the sense we were talking about before, to deal with the tribes that they came across of Native Americans, right?
Right.
Um, you know, uh, not all not all frontier people were looking to, despite what you hear, were looking to eradicate the Native Americans
Yeah.
from the United States, and not all Native American tribes were warring either,
Right.
and so um, they had to be able to form friendships and make deals and uh, and navigate those things. Um, there's some I might be misremembering, but there some story about how I probably shouldn't even start into this because I don't remember enough of the details, but there was
I
some
did-
story about some people in the Lewis and Clark expedition where they went over, they went over into they got to the West Coast, and then a couple of them came back a little bit and got lost or something, and it was really dangerous, like one of them got sick or hurt or injured or something. It was someone that was with them. Again, you're talking about, like, it wasn't like it wasn't it was probably super perilous. I mean, imagine this. Imagine me going, John, uh look, uh I found a planet. Um it looks like Earth. It's got oxygen, so I can guarantee you that you're not going to suffocate. It's got water. It's probably got squirrels and raccoons, but that's all I can guarantee you. I have no idea what else is
Ugh.
there. No idea. No idea. No idea about the plants, the floor,
The
because
weather,
you got to think about it, these guys have never been past the Mississippi, probably, right? Wasn't
correct.
that at the time, right? Wasn't it
I
just the
mean,
Mississippi, or was it
just
even
the
was or was
just
it
the
even
no, I don't. I think the Mississippi was the first they had gone.
yeah? So so they have no idea what kind of flora, fauna, landscape they're gonna. I mean, if you've ever been to I mean, the Badlands of Utah or the Badlands of South Dakota or the Monuments Park in Utah,
Yeah,
like it's alien. It's
yeah.
alien for me, and I know
Death
it
Valley.
exists.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Those guys didn't know there was a desert. And I don't think they went up. I don't think they've got to like Death Valley, but I'm just saying, like, I put you on a planet and I go, hey, I can guarantee you
Oh,
I can guarantee you squirrels, fish, uh, bears. I can guarantee you bears probably. But squirrels, fish, bears, raccoons, pine trees. I don't know what else is out there.
yeah.
But I want you to just go. And I don't know the tribes that are out there. I don't know if there's a giant city full of hostile a million hostile individuals. I don't know if I don't know what the rivers look like. I don't know what the landscape looks like. And you and I have traveled enough to where man, like
Oh,
it's
it could
in
drop
the
on it.
you have every possible climate and landscape in the United States, right?
Yeah.
Between the Mississippi and the West Coast. That's where that weirdness starts, really, and so they maybe what if they were thinking, oh, it just all kind of looks like Kentucky and we're just gonna roll on through, and it's like, no, it doesn't. So I just imagine for a second, they're like literally like you've been, like there's a Stargate or something, and I'm like, I'm gonna send you to this, you and
Yeah.
Kurt Russell, I'm gonna send you guys
Oh
to
yeah.
this, just you and Kurt Russell,
Yep.
uh Brokeback Stargate. Uh
Could
I'm
you
gonna send
imagine
you
like the first time that Lois and Clark, or Lois,
Lois
yeah,
and Clark. Yeah.
Superman, when
Yeah.
they the first like they go through like Kentucky and Missouri the first time, and they're telling their friends, they're like, "What was it like?" They're like, "Kentucky sucks." Like that'd be funny, like their arrogance to exploring new lands for the first time, and like
But like
telling
us,
them,
like
"Yeah,
I've been there. It's,
I hate New Jersey." Yeah,
yeah.
it's just like what?
Yeah, I've been to the Louvre. It's a piece of shit. You don't want to go. No, no, but just saying that, like, where the place, like, oh, this place sucks, man. I've
Yeah.
seen so much better, so
Oh,
much more exciting
you're gonna
places,
love Kansas. Trust me. Like,
By the way, the Louvre doesn't suck. The Louvre's actually pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I again, I'm not up on my. So did Lewis and Clark actually made it all the way to the Pacific, right?
yes, but I think they got stopped for something. Something stopped
Yeah,
them.
and they went back, right, or something, isn't it? Something like that.
Um,
We're striving for accuracy here.
so the issue they ran across is there was no direct passage from the Missouri River to the Pacific Ocean.
Okay. Missouri River. So that's this side of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember when we were in St. Louis, there was the Lewis and Clark statues.
Yeah. I love that they're best friends too. Like it's such a unique. So they met up with the Osage, the Sioux, the Cheyenne, the Crow, and Mandan Indian tribes.
Wow.
Trading, learning about foraging, hunting, gathering, learn teaching languages, artwork, painting. Like they were,
But didn't someone in there someone got really hurt in their expedition, right? And like I think that was is that why they had to stop or
yeah,
or
someone
did
broke a leg. Just there's a couple of people here. They said they got hurt.
that would have been me for sure. Like I'd go on this thing and like I'm the guy like uh John, what does your record look like like in picking the correct line when you're given options. Like if you're in the airport and you have to go pick this security line or that security line, or you're in traffic and you have to pick this lane or that lane. Like I always pick the wrong line. My
I don't
record is
know. Like, is that are you picking that based on? For
I'm pick
me, it's based on trends I've done before and what normally happens when I do pick this or don't pick a certain line.
see, I guess maybe I'm just too random. See, you have it worked out. I'm just like where are the kids? Okay, I'm not getting behind the
But
kids.
you're
But
also airports are
but then
just yeah.
but then every time the kids are in, they blow through and I'm
Right.
just left,
Right. They leave their laptops in the bags, juice
Yeah,
boxes.
sure.
Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. So I don't know. But anyway, that would be me on, in Lewis and Clark. I would break a leg.
So
I'd get
from 1804 to 1806, they wanted to go out to the canyon lands, like the Colorado, the Grand Canyon. They
mhm.
couldn't make it. And so it was designated as the Great Unknown for
I love
several
that.
years before that, after that, because no one
The
was out
great
there yet.
the great unknown. So again, I put you in that place of like, John, I
Oh,
want you and Kurt Russell are about to walk through this Stargate. We don't know what's there. Like I said, we've run tests. There's water, there's oxygen, there's squirrels,
yeah.
there's fish, there's probably deer, but maybe not,
Yeah.
and like and we just want you to just go and see what you find and good luck. And how much were they paid? How about that? How much were Lewis and Clark paid? Let's
Hmm.
look that up. How much did they get paid? Because I mean, I don't think that
What was the name of their group? They had like a group name, right?
yeah, it was a shitty band name though. Really bad. Like what was how much? Because
Oh, here we go.
it would have to be a
Damn.
lot.
Let's see.
And were they guaranteed anything before they left, or was it just like, well, if you make it back, we'll pay you?
Let's see here. So the people in their expedition were like it was basically military, like captains, corporals, and stuff like that with them.
Okay.
A captain earned 40 per month or $480 annually.
What does that equate to
I don't
nowadays?
know.
That's probably like
So
30 grand a year, 20 grand a year or something.
this is how much Lewis was paid. $2,776.22, including his allowance for 47 months of work, along with 1,600 acres of land. Captain Clark, earning a lieutenant's pay of about 330 a month, received a total of $2,113.74.
So they were military.
Military.
So that they were just on the military payroll.
Yes. So Lewis was a captain at $40 a month. Clark was a captain earning lieutenant's pay at 30 a month. They worked for 47 months together, and they both got 1,600 acres of land.
I bet the VA sucked back then really hard
Oh
too.
God.
Like there wasn't a VA. But I mean, think so there you go. There you go. The government even back then. Now we're not going to pay them anything. They're military. Just send them
And
on.
so, okay, so the Federal Land Act of 1804 established the value of a Western public lands, which they each got 1,600 acres of,
Okay.
was priced at $1.64 per acre in 1804.
Okay, but how much does that like there's got to be a calculator online that calculates what
Yeah,
like
in
how
terms
much
of like what now?
yeah, what does that equal to now though?
Well, let's see.
So I mean, I looked up something like in I don't know. There's just how much money was worth in the 1800s compared to now, and it's
You
just
got to
like,
figure that land. I mean, if they owned it, I mean, you're talking pieces of stuff that had not been explored yet, like pieces of the
yeah.
canyon, like
What year was Lewis and Clark? They were like
18
yeah, early 18.
1802 to 1806 or
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah. That's crazy.
So what was your initial point about Lewis and Clark applying it to Amelia
Well, like
Earhart? Like like
I was just trying to figure it out, like explorers like that just went out there and did their thing, and
well, they
I
didn't do it
started
for the money. I
no,
mean,
but there's a love of finding the unknown and maybe believing in what you
yeah.
did or
Well,
that
dude,
you
I think it's very much like being an artist in a way. I mean, I know it's not fraught with danger and peril like that, but like as far as being willing to go into the unknown for whatever you can get for it, I
Yeah.
mean, I happen to be one of the most blessed, lucky people on the face of the planet that I have been able to achieve, and our band has been able to achieve what we've achieved. I mean, that's just not, it's not the norm. It's not what normally happens. But I know for a fact that I would still be doing this. I would still be making music. I would still be striving towards something if none of that had ever happened. And I would be doing it for not a lot of money. I'd do it for whatever I could get. I do it for no money. I do a lot of things still for no money. It's not about the money. I
Correct.
don't it's about the we talked about we touched on this a bit last week, but trying to find joy over happiness, and I promise you people, there is no destination. Like if you're waiting to arrive at a destination and that destination is happiness, or that destination is, oh, I did the thing, I accomplished that thing, like it's very hollow.
Yeah.
I thought that when my goal was always just to get a record deal, right? And then I actually got a record deal in another band and quit that band to become a producer. And then it was like, oh, I just want to I just want to produce records for or write songs on big records. And then I did that, and that wasn't the destination either. And so then I was like, okay. And then it brought me right back around to the goal of being in a signed band, right? And then I've toured the world, and I play on arena stages and amphitheater stages and festival stages and stadium stages, and that's not a destination either. And so with Lewis and Clark, it's like that unknown is joy. The joy is in the unknown. The joy is in pushing forward into the places you've never been and doing things you've never done. This is ironic we're talking about this right now because I've taken on something in a project that I've been working on lately that I don't know if I'm going to be able to accomplish. Quite frankly, it's way bigger than me. It's way outside of my scope. It's unfamiliar. It's scary. I know the base level process of what I'm talking about doing, but I've never done it, and I don't know if I can do it. And it's all I can think about. You know,
Yeah.
it's all I can think about, and is and you know what, man? Since I started thinking about that, my depression has been nil. It's been nil.
Is there a
And
correlation
and
between fear and depression?
yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I'm not saying I won't fall back into it. I mean,
You
there have been
won't.
moments I will. When I fall back into it, it's out of fear. It's out of, okay, I can't do this. Never mind. Never mind. It's too big. Never mind. Never mind. It's too big. Can't do it. Can't do it. Uh, that gets me depressed, and I've gone to bed like that a couple of nights. And the crazy thing is, I wake up the next morning. I wake up sometime between 5 and 5:30 every morning and go run and do my thing. But I always have 2 cups of coffee before I go run in the morning or go exercise in the morning. And I'll read articles or I'll watch YouTube stuff, and it always has to be something that I can learn from. I want to do something.
Yeah.
I want to work my brain out. And man, in those moments, like I woke up the other night, I went to bed and I was like, okay, you need to make a realistic decision about whether or not this is what you're going to do, because it's big, it's a lot, it's I have to worry when I it seems simple, right? But I know it's not going to be, which means that it's going to be 10 times what I can imagine it's going to be as far as difficulty. And I went to bed and I was like, you need to make a realistic decision in the morning about whether or not you're going to pursue this, because you don't want to have it become a colossal waste of time that you just pour yourself into and then you just abandon ship on it when you could have abandoned ship now. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I watch one video about somebody doing what I'm talking about doing. Just maybe not at the scope or
Yeah.
scale, but like what? And then it's like, oh yeah, this is totally doable. And then I get like amped about it again. But then then I get into the minutia of it, and it's like, oh no, it's scary again. And it's
Do
look,
you think that's part of the process? It's kind of shakes people because it is such a powerful thing when you could complete something, whether it's a song, an album, a short story, a poem, and it took you so long to get there. Do you think that those thoughts in your head kind of suppress scare people away from accomplishing that because they want people to realize that if you want to do something and accomplish something, you have to go through the fucking mud and blood for it? Like it's
So
almost
are you talking about just the fear is discouraging people, or
yeah,
there's some
like the
outside
fear
force?
is the fear is part of the process that forces people to, if you really want to do this, you gotta dedicate yourself to it. And when you come out of it, you're gonna be so proud of what you do. Because I think sometimes, like we always joke about, the toughest thing for a writer is to write. And
Yeah.
once you start writing, the fear and trepidations go away. But all these people,
Momentarily, they go away momentarily until you read
yes.
back what you wrote, and you're like, this
And then you're
sucks.
like, I'm gonna jump off into a get
Yeah.
into a prop play with Amelia Earhart. But like,
Right.
but at what point? Like, I always keep hearing you talk about that stuff. I'm always like, it's part of the process. The
Yeah.
struggle is scaring people because they know that the people that get to that level and can accomplish whatever their goal or mission is, that they're
Hmm.
they're they're rarefied air, and it's
Yeah.
almost like the system is protecting that rarefied air from
Well,
knuckleheads and cheese dicks from that don't belong up there. They didn't put the time in, the effort to reach that status.
look, man, there are always going to be, and this is not a I got to be careful how I put this because I don't want it to seem like I'm being elitist about it or anything. But there are always going to be people who just don't have the stomach for it or don't have the interest in it, right? Um, I'm on the border of someone who doesn't have the stomach for it and someone who can, who can do it, right? There are different tiers of this thing. You go back to Lewis and Clark. I mean, those guys were obviously high tier, right?
Yeah,
Look at David Goggins there. He's high tier. He's high level.
Cameron
Uh,
Haynes,
Cameron
another
Haynes,
one.
high
Yes.
level. I look at uh, Jelly Roll, high level
Yeah,
of 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 uh
that
of
drive doesn't stop. It's always
right.
on gas going forward.
Right. They're high level. They have the stomach for it. I am on the border of I don't have the stomach for it, but I'm going to do it anyway? Question mark. You
Hot
know,
Rod Burgundy.
and right. Well, no, but that's probably that might be the most accurate thing I've ever said on this in our talks is that like that's where I am. Like I don't think I can do it, but I'm going to try and I'm going to drag myself through it and pull myself through it until I accomplish it. And then I get to the other side of it and it's like, oh, I could do that again. That's me, right? So there are different tiers of this. There are people that have no desire to elevate to a place where they are responsible for their own what's the right term? Where they're responsible for their own success or failure,
Yeah.
right? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are people that just, like I said, I've got friends who I'm envious of in a different way, where they wake up and they go to their job and they do their job and they just want to get to the weekend and go out on the boat and drink Budweiser and have fun and or they get to the weekend and they just want to go you know ride their bikes with their friends or exercise or do whatever and just have a weekend and they go back to work and they're just in that thing and they want to retire at 65 and have 10 good years before they fall apart.
Right.
uh and here's the thing, man, they're pretty happy people, most of them. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
That's just the but there is a mechanism in people's brains where they can access it. Anyone can access it. Like it's in everyone. Where maybe you wake up one day and you're like, everyone at some point in their life has to have this moment of I want something more for myself. What's it going to cost me to do it? Um, and by cost, I mean like what Thoreau said, when he said the cost of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about money costs. What's it going to cost me to do this? Mental bandwidth, time, sanity, relationships. What's it going to cost me to do this? And for some
Yeah.
people, that's that price of admission is too high. Um, some people like myself have that ambition. I have the ambition to do those things. I dream super fucking big. Like
Yeah.
if I close my eyes, it's like, oh yeah, I can see the whole thing. But when the rubber meets the road, I'm riddled with self-doubt. I'm just loaded with it. I don't think I can accomplish it. I don't know if I can do it. Um, and I would think that every time that I do it, it would get easier. I think maybe that might be some of the neurodivergency stuff, like the fact that every time that I write, look, pat myself on the back a little bit. I don't do it very often, but I've written double digit #1 songs, and you would think that when I go to write a song, it would just be just this natural thing that I do. Every time I'm terrified. Every time it feels like the first time I've done it. I wish that would go away, but maybe I'm glad that it doesn't. But
Yep.
so anyway, so I'm talking about I have this thing where like I knew at a young age that I wasn't going to have a normal job. I wasn't going to like that. None of that appealed to me. Office job didn't appeal to me. Military didn't appeal to me. Uh, like I knew that I had to go out there. Lewis and Clark. I had to go out there,
Yeah.
whatever that meant. I had to go out there and find it and search for it. And the thing is when I was younger, I didn't have the issues that I have now with it. Like I went out there and like chased it hard until I got it, until I found it. Whatever that is, success. Again, there's no destination, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm still doing that thing. I'm still on that road. I think that what happens to a lot of musicians is an artist and actors is they think there's a destination. They think the destination is happiness, and happiness is a record deal. Happiness is a tour bus. Happiness is fans. Happiness is money, especially that last one. Happiness is cars and boats,
Yeah.
especially those things, right? Trust me, I'm not, this isn't me bragging. It's me being caught. It's a cautionary tale. I've got boats. I got houses. I got a boat. I have a boat. I have a house. I've got nice sports cars. It's not that. That's not happiness. I could burn all of those things up and not, I could light them all on fire and not feel a loss. But
Yeah.
if I lost my talent or I lost my ability to
Yeah.
create, I'd be devastated, right? So I think that uh now one thing I will say this too, man, though, is this, the thing about money, and this is a side note because I don't want people to think that I'm ungrateful by what I just said. I'm extremely grateful. Uh money is what for me, what does money have? Money gets me not having to think about money. That's the only really good thing about achieving monetary success has been that I don't have to think about or worry about money.
Right.
But it's not about the stuff, and that's not a destination either. It's the destination is in the adventure. Back to man, this is why Amelia Earhart is we're still talking about her is
Yeah.
because she was invested in the adventure. The adventure was the destination. It's why you know, someone like Evil Knievel would do one stunt and then that one wasn't
Oh,
big enough. He had to go find a bigger one and he had to go find a bigger one and a bigger
just
one and a bigger one.
awesome.
It's why, you know, uh with Shinedown, it's like it's about always trying to be the biggest band in the world. One
Yeah.
more mountain, one more mountain, one more mountain, one more mountain, one more mountain. What do we have to do? Uh and we've got a lot of work left to do. It's astonishingly amazing for me when I look around at some of my contemporaries, some of my peers, not in the music business, but in their lives, where we're all the same age and they're winding down. They're looking at retirement coming up. They can't wait to take a break. I hate my job. Let's just, and I'm like, I'm ramping up, man. Let's go, Uh, it because if there's one thing I have found again, and I know I'm beating this horse to death, but it's so important for people to know is the destination is the journey. The destination is the striving. And it doesn't mean you have to strive on a world scale. It doesn't mean you have to be Lewis and Clark or Amelia Earhart or Eric Bass or Elon Musk or John Guarnieri or whatever.
Kurt
You can be
Russell. Yeah.
what's that?
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. You don't have to go through the Stargate and find Goldie Hawn and bring her back on a yacht. Uh, anyway, lots of references in there, people. But in your world, in your life, just start an adventure. Like if you feel like you're unhappy, again, you may be perfectly happy doing what you're doing, and I love that. Again, this isn't for everybody. Um, my goal for myself is I want to get to that next tier. Like I said, when I talk about Brent Smith or Jelly Roll or Lewis and Clark or Elon Musk or whatever, these individuals that have this high functioning
Drive.
drive that they're not, there is fear there. There's always going to be fear there. There's always going to be fear with everyone. It's no one's immune to that, but they have a different relationship with it than most. They have a different relationship with pain than most. Um, that's something I do have. I have a different relationship with pain. Maybe not to a Goggins level or a Cam Smith level, but I definitely have a relationship with pain where like I can push through. I think John has you've probably seen me at one of the only two times in my life where I could not push through pain, like ever, and you were
Yes.
there. John was there with me. It was excruciating, right? But like I can push my body through a lot of things. Like this morning, it's not like John knows how much I hate cold. I hate cold. Like I'm not built for the cold at all. We just came off of like 5 days in the 70s here, which was
Oh,
great. And I
nice.
was out on the boat and like hanging out. But then it got a little chilly last night and this morning when this is about as cold as it gets here, really, in the morning. But it was like 35, 33 degrees here or something this morning. And I just went out in shorts and a t-shirt and went running. Like I'm like
Yeah.
because like I know I'm gonna hate that. I'm gonna hate that, so I'm gonna go do that. I have that thing. I'm gonna do what I hate to do. Uh, and act, and try to act like I love it. Um, but when it comes to the artistic stuff, man, and putting myself out there and being a pioneer in not saying an artistic pioneer, not saying I'm blazing new ground. I'm talking like a Lewis and Clark kind of way, like,
Yeah.
forging onward. I need to arrive at a place where I need to up my tier. And I'm hoping that something like what I'm talking about doing now is one of those things where it's like, man, I didn't think I could do this, you know, which is different for me than like making a record or something. I know how to make a record. Um, so this is a different venture, and so it's something I'm out of my depth.
But do you have a
And
timeline on it? Like
oh,
eternal timeline of like what you want to get out this year
oh,
or
oh yeah, man, I got it. It's extremely unrealistic.
tonight?
So yeah, it's extremely unrealistic. Um, which, you know, makes me
I
wonder if
saw I saw a video clip from Rick Rubin the other day, and he basically said he's got a new book coming out, and he talked about one
love
of
his sandwiches, man.
oh dude
The
he's the best.
Reuben, this is my
Yeah,
favorite.
the
Yeah.
best. And he basically said he goes he doesn't like when artists write for their fans. They should write for
No.
themselves first, and then it's conducive to making your audience appreciate and actually love your music because you care about it first.
Yeah.
And I thought it
No,
was
no,
such, and the interviewer was just like kind of pushing back. Well, without the fans, he's like Ruben's like that's not how it works.
right.
Because I'm
That's
telling
correct.
these artists I work with, brand a song that makes you happy, and then everything else we'll fine tune it as long as you're happy. I'm happy, I guess, if you're happy, and then you put it out to the world. But fuck everyone else. So like the interviewer was like, "Oh, I never thought of it that way." It's like this is Rick Rubin telling you this. There's probably
Yeah.
some weight to it.
I love that interview with him. I know which one you're talking about. And he also says something else, which is when you make something as an artist, it's a devotion to God, right?
Yes,
It's what it should be.
yes,
And I love that thought because it is, look, if it's just me and Brent in here, or if it's just me in here, it's like, if it's just me and Brent, there's three people in the room. I think that Quincy Jones had a way of putting it when they was talking about how when they were doing arrangements for songs in the horn arrangements or string arrangements for Michael Jackson records or for Motown records, that they wouldn't figure it all out. And the way they would put the saying was, you have to leave room for God to walk through the room, you know, and because there are these things that happen when you're writing music that you don't intend to have happen. And we talked last week or the week before about conduit and being a conduit for
yeah.
creativity. Um, so to Rick Rubin's point about not writing with the fan, you can't write with the fans in mind. This computer over here is littered with the graveyard of songs and ideas more than songs, but songs some where we tried to make something that sounded like something, or we tried to make something that we thought was gonna look. I played a song for Sanjay was here the other day at the house. He was here for a couple of days, and
On his
I
journey from Arizona.
yeah, right, yes. I I played him a couple of songs that he had heard most of them because he was here for Planet Zero, but there were a couple of songs on at the Planet Zero sessions, and there's one song in particular that like I listened to it and I'm like, this is a fucking smash hit song, right? And not that it was written from a disingenuous place. It was written from a genuine place because it was genuine enough where we actually tracked it for Planet Zero. Like it's tracked. It's I could mix it and have it out in 2 days. Um, the problem with it is that it sounds like what our fans would want to hear. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
and
safety
that went
song.
and that went into the thinking in making the song was like, oh, dude, this has got Shinedown fan all over it, right? And but to Rick's point, the stuff that the fans always love, though, the fans always love the stuff that that I had no idea that they would like. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like it's uh because it's genuine, because it's real, because we made it from a real place. You know, a song like A Symptom of Being Human, which I'm actually going to do a thing on social media, I think, where I break down the anatomy of that song and like go piece by piece and part by part. Here's how we put it together. Uh, because it was very genuine all the way around, and the lyrics happened so fast. They happened really fast, like for you know a day, I think, a day of writing, and then a day of making sure they were okay, and we were done. Which is that's pretty quick for
right.
for a song. Um, it's very rare that a song just happens in one day and that's it. Although Daylight happened in a day. That was a day. That was a 1 day song. Um, but and that's another one. Like that the bridge on that song, because it's not very Shinedown. It's big stompy. Zach and
Yes,
I are singing. It's just me and Zach singing together, singing all the backups, and we kind of sound like a choir. And uh, it just wasn't traditional Shinedown, right? And that was kind of a thing. It was like I wonder how the public or how the fans are going to react to this, but you can't worry about that. It worked because we made something real. And I think about look, man, if we talked about last week, this record of mine that I'm going to be releasing here in the next few months is it is solely something I made for myself, you know, and I didn't think about anything other than that, other than I want to make something different. I want to make something that I love, and that's all. And I'm probably gonna get dragged for a lot of it. Like I have a feeling that Blabbermouth and Loudwire are gonna like
yeah.
just
Eddie
drag
Eddie
me
Trunk.
just
Yeah,
oh dude they're just gonna drag me right through the mud for this thing because I don't know what people it's probably not gonna be exactly what people expect. Um but I don't think I could have made anything more genuine. Um on a funny note though, one thing that I do when I'm writing songs is if I come up with a really good riff, I want that riff to be. I do think about this. This is fun, and I don't know any other guitar player that doesn't think this. I don't think. Uh, but I want to write a riff that is so badass that it makes all my other guitar player friends want to quit. I do think about that. Like when I first wrote the Planet Zero riff, I was like, oh, motherfuckers are gonna want to quit when they hear this.
right.
And it's like, but that's just there's nothing cocky in that. It's just like for me, it's like because as a fan of music, so there's a new uh uh there's a new Nothing More song out. Uh it doesn't hurt at all. It doesn't mean a thing. I forget the name of it. Great song, man. Really good. I love that band. Uh, but dude, the breakdown guitar riff, Mark it's just like, dude, that riff is so good. It makes me want to quit. I'm
That's
like, oh
awesome.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm like, oh God, man, I suck so hard. Like these guys are so good at this and I suck so bad. That's what I mean. Cause I feel that too. Like when I hear someone else's riff, it's so good that I'm just like, I can't stop listening to it. Uh, the chorus on the new POD song, not afraid to die, ain't afraid to die is the song, or afraid to die might be the name of it. The chorus is just really good. It's old, it's super good. I say, and I use the term old school in a great way. It harkens back to like Youth of the Nation or something.
yep,
But it's such a cool chorus, man. It's Papa Roach's Leave a Light On. That chorus.
yep.
It's just like I hear that chorus the first time, I'm like, oh man, I suck. All right, I
Yeah,
gotta do better. So those things happen, right? I like when if I'm writing a riff or I come up with something that I'm like, oh man, uh, it's and I dude, I got a and I'll tell you what happened with it. This is I might have talked about this in interviews before, but Rich Ward, who plays in Fozzy, the guitar player in Fozzy,
Duck Mojo.
uh, Stuck Mojo. He was the guitar player in a band called Stuck Mojo in the mid '90s through early 2000s. Corey Lowry from he plays in Seether now, is Clint Lowry's brother, was the bass player in Stuck Mojo. Um, very influential band in especially in the Southeast, but around the nation. Like they inspired Limp Bizkit. Like that's where they were the first rap metal band that I ever heard, and they were such a good live band. But Rich became my you know sort of tangible guitar hero, right? Like I could I could talk to him when I needed to. I didn't have his number or anything, but like he took my band out on tour for like a week one
Yeah.
time, which was awesome. We opened up for Sug Mojo, was our favorite band. We got to open up for him for a week and uh but so I've always really looked up to him, man, and just an I don't know if his insane talent comes through in Fozzy. I think he's just an insane player and an insane riff writer. Like
Right.
that was always the thing with Stuck Mojo. If you guys go check out a record, if anybody wants to go check out a record called Pig Walk, Pigwalk, Pig Walk by Stuck Mojo. It's just insane with riffs. I mean, it's any Stuck Mojo record is going to be insane with riffs, but that one and their first record was called Snapping Necks. And
Oh
but I think Pig Walk was just like and Devin Townsend from
wow.
Devin Townsend Project and Strapping Young Lad, he produced Pig Walk. He produced that record. And it's got a lot of Devin Townsend-esque stuff in it. Really, really cool record. But anyway, I when the song Planet Zero first came out, I was doing a workout. I forget where we were, but it was right at the beginning of the tour. The single had just come out, like it was like the day after the single came out or 2 days after. And I get a text from Rich, and he's like, "Man, that might be one of the best riffs I've ever heard." And
That's awesome.
and I was just like, "Dude,
Yeah.
you can have all of my platinum records. You can have all of my awards. That
Coming from him.
that might be the most proud moment of my career, you know,
Yep.
because it comes from a peer and a peer I look up to. Those things are like anytime that I get a compliment from another musician about a song we've written or that's what matters, right?
Yeah.
So to bring it full circle, those moments only happen if you write for yourself. Those moments only happen if you write what you feel. Those moments only happen if you're scared a little bit. You have to be scared when you're writing. Yeah, and healthy scared, not abject fear, but like, oh man, I don't know if I want to go down this road. I don't know if I want to say this thing. I don't know if what I'm thinking with the production on this is too far outside of the box and our fan base won't like it. Like you need to be in those areas. Like a song like What You Wanted, the last song on Planet Zero is my favorite song on the record. And I made it with an iPhone and and some strings. And it was the first song we wrote for Planet Zero. And we just, kind of leapt into the deep end with that song because it's not normal for us.
Right.
And look, man, there's some songs that didn't make Planet Zero that I'm not, don't hold me to this, but there are a couple of songs that didn't make Planet Zero that might make the next record, which we've never done before either. And one of those songs that I love a lot isn't normal, you know? Again, it's out of the box for Shinedown, but I love it. I love it for that reason. It makes me really happy. It makes me super happy to hear it. And that's what should matter, you know? And um it's why again I think I mean maybe at some point I said that I don't say that like somebody's record sucks anymore. I'll never say that someone's art sucks. That sucks or this sucks or that
Yeah.
sucks. It's not for me, right? But it doesn't suck. Like art takes so much effort
Yeah.
and love and work and tears and pain and joy and laughter
Yeah.
to make. that uh you know I
I
just
heard I heard something the other day. It was like the band Who, like the Mongolian death
yeah,
growl.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And when I first heard of them and saw them at festivals, be like, I never said they suck, but like I just don't get it. And so when I heard the songs and some of the music again the other day, I was like, oh, like it's not my thing. I really don't get it per se. But
Hmm.
the fact there is a Mongolian
Yes.
album band out here doing this around the world, playing in front of people all around the world, all walks of life, good on them.
Yeah.
And so I know last episode I was talking about how easy it'd be for me to do a painting, and I still think I could do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
But
you can.
but it's it's to your point. It doesn't suck. It's just not for me. I don't get it.
Hey, I
I
got
don't get it.
I have something for you then. I think that this week before the next podcast, you should do a painting.
I'm in such a writing mood right now. It just I
No, no,
mean, it
no,
could be,
no, no. I am too, but I've been making paintings too. Like I said, just pick up your iPad and do it digitally. Like just download Fresco or something, Adobe Fresco and just make a painting. But again, it's intention. It's what am I trying to say? What is this about? And I'd be curious to see if what your opinion is of I can do this after you try to do it,
yep.
because it's,
Well, how often do you think?
is it something you're proud of? Again, back to what we're saying
Yeah,
about making things for yourself and not for fans. Like I'm not talking about just go splatter something on things. Oh, I made this thing because it looks like this other thing, and just to prove that I could do it. It's it's uh like, man, sometimes I feel like you can see the joy and pain and uh
yeah.
in those things that seem simple, but like there's something in it, like have you seen online where the guy takes the buckets with the paint, he spins them around and they
Oh,
go
dude,
around the room
I
and
remember it's like
leave these spirals all over it, and it's
yeah,
like, okay, if you just saw that painting, right, and yeah, I think that you could,
the
like, if I
process.
it, but what I'm saying, but if I just look at the painting, I can see some sort of mechanism of joy
Yes.
and passion in it, right? And now knowing how much it does, and maybe I'm skewed by seeing the process, but uh, it is, man. There's joy in that. There's thought in that. There's science in that. There's while we're on the subject of art, man, I saw this. I'll hold it up, or maybe we can maybe you can post it on the, when we make the thing go live. But uh, this really hit me about art because um, this is something that there's this particular photograph of these drunk people, and it says this picture of drunk people on a night out looks like a Renaissance painting, and it does, and it's really weird, and it caused me to think that that's what, like, I look at this and it totally, I'll show it in a second, but it that uh that art, what makes art great is a story behind what's being done,
Yeah.
right? Like these Renaissance paintings, it's like uh that's what drew you in. It's like, what's happening in this painting? And again, we're talking about fine art now. We're not talking about abstract. But this is the picture, and it's like, again, maybe we should post it up. I'll send it to you. Maybe we can put it up in the
Yeah.
corners because it's easier to see. But this is the painting, or the picture rather,
Yeah.
and it does look like a Renaissance painting.
Yeah. The
Like
colors.
I
Yeah.
wonder what's going on here, right? Why is that dude dying? Is he dead? Is he just super drunk?
Yeah.
You know, what's the girl up in the up in the top, right or left? I don't know which side my camera's showing, but what's her deal? And do these people know each other?
Yeah.
Is like, is that guy trying to kiss that other dude? I don't know. Like what is happening here?
Yeah.
And so I found, like, I only saved that because of what it said. And it was like, I don't know if I would have thought that if I hadn't seen probably wouldn't have. But like, you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, what's the story here? What's
Right.
in there's something else in this, and and so I feel like that happens in I know we're back to the same one of the same subjects we talked about last week about art. Maybe we should move on, but
Now, do you think
uh
art? I guess I'm trying to think. Well, I don't know how to phrase this. Do you think is art only art like okay, so I guess for me, I look at something, and so if it's something I do, whether it's a podcast episode or a short story or something I do, and it can be considered art, I guess, a picture I take.
Hmm.
If someone were to ask
You're
me,
you're really you're really good at that, by the way.
right, right,
You're really good at pictures and editing and making them have a vibe for sure.
and if someone asked me why I did what I did, I'd be able to explain to them why I did that and why I kneeled down to take that picture in my head. This is what I saw. This is the angle. This is what I witnessed myself, and it was just this weird light angle coming through, and the shadows. I'm able to explain that. Is that it's only art if you're able to do that, right? Like you can't just produce art and be like, if I were to take a picture, it came out amazing, and people are like, oh my god, why'd you take this? What was the aperture? What was the lighting? What was the where were you at? All this stuff, and I wasn't able to say any of that. Is it really art
I
if you
think it's
can't?
more I think it's more art if you can't. And
Interesting.
I think that, and we're all guilty of this. I'm guilty of this. If it's really art, you make it and you shut the fuck up, right?
Yeah,
You know what it
like
means.
Banksy. Yeah,
Well, right. Like, if it's really art, then it's made to be subjective. It's made to mean something to the listener, the viewer, the person taking it in. So don't tell people what it is. This is one of the
yeah,
pitfalls of being
interesting.
this is one of the
Yeah,
pitfalls of being a songwriter uh is that, well, what's that song about? If a fan will ask, what's that song about? And it never fails that, and I will, depending on the song, I've asked people, do you want to know what it's about? Because do you really want to know what it's about? Because people have an idea of what they think it's about,
yeah,
which is more important than what it is about. And because for them it might be something that attaches, they think it means one thing, and it creates this attachment to maybe their dead parent, or to their child, or to an event that happened to them in high
yeah.
school,
Overdose,
or
suicide
whatever.
thought. Yeah,
And then I tell them what it's really about, and it takes the wind out of their sails, because I've had that happen, not asking but just hearing interviews about what songs are about. And I'm like, oh, I thought they were talking about this other
yeah,
thing. And that's kind of shitty then. It's like, oh, it doesn't mean as much to me as it used to mean. It's the same thing with art. Like, so I watched this, maybe I can, maybe we can put it in a link or something,
yeah.
like to this YouTube video that I watched. And this is what it really clicked for me. I do follow some painters and stuff on YouTube, and I watched their process. And that's what this guy was saying, was like, uh, make your art and shut up. You go to art shows nowadays, and the artist takes you around to every painting and
Oh,
explains to you what it is. Well, I was going through, and this piece describes the existential threat of an overbearing, psychotic dictator, uh, who has a penchant for cheese and ham,
yep,
and then it's like, well, somebody else will look at it and go, I thought it was a fucking lobster,
yeah,
you know, and like, and so you go around from painting to painting, and you do this, and no one has to use their imagination. No one has to sink themselves into your art. No one has to go, to make my point again, nobody has to go, what the fuck is happening in this?
yeah.
Because I just told you what's happening in this. So
Right.
what if it's so this picture becomes a lot less interesting when I tell you that this guy right here is a total douchebag and he's having a meltdown. This guy right here, who you think cares about him, is actually strangling him,
Hell yeah.
right? And this is the dude's mom over here. She's just like, come on, honey, let's go home. And this girl right here is talking to uh, her side piece because her boyfriend's distracted. And if I fill in all those blanks for you, then
Right.
there's nothing there. You don't want to sink into it anymore. I don't want to be involved in that shit. But if I just look at that painting or that picture, not knowing what's going on,
Yeah, you don't want to take the story out of it.
correct. And so it is more art without an explanation. But as an artist, you want to be so understood, right? That it's difficult not to talk about it because you want people to know I made this represents this, and this, you know? And sometimes it's obvious, like a lot of the paintings that I've been making are a little on the nose with certain things or whatever. Um, but you know, some of them aren't, and I know what they mean. I know what these things represent. And if I just explained it to everyone, then I want people to know. But then again, it's like I'd rather uh name the painting some really cool title that has something to do with in my brain has something to do with what it means, and
Yeah,
then let people kind of figure it out. Because the 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 healing that art provides is in the sometimes is in the figuring it out or not knowing and just having it mean whatever it needs to mean to you. So
that's why with like you guys and the Shinedown stuff. When someone's like, "Oh, is it a rock song? Is it a pop song? Is it a metal song?" It's like it's our song, and then let the people decide what it's going to be about. Like,
yeah,
don't write for that genre.
yeah,
Just write a song that means something to you guys, and then whoever enjoys it is going to enjoy it.
yeah. And that takes us right back to write for yourself and not for the audience, you know?
Right.
If you're truly making the song for yourself, uh, then it's already done its job for you, you know? Like, that's the interesting thing about releasing records is like I was talking about this record that I have. Like I've toyed around with not ever releasing it. Not because
There's
not
something
because
artistic about that, though.
well, not because or I actually talked to Kelly. I was like, what if I only press 10 vinyl of this thing ever and that's all that exists, you know? Because for me, it's like it exists for me. I made it for me. It's done its healing for me. Do I want to expose it to criticism and critiques and uh or even to love or whatever? Do I want to expose it to those things because it means so much to me? Because it's done its job for me as the creator. Like it healed me in a lot of ways and
Right.
continues to do so. I can listen to it anytime I want. It's there. It's a shit ton of work, months and months and months of work. But and I mean, I'm not just saying this to be woo woo and fucking, oh, look at me. I had to actually come out and just say it like point blank, I'm putting this out. And I made myself start the process of doing that because if I hadn't done that, I'd probably still be going, I don't know if I'll ever release it.
Yeah.
Because for me, it has already done the thing. So the weird thing about releasing an album is you've got these pieces of art that have already soothed your soul. They've already made you excited. They've already benefited you. They've already done the thing for you, and now you have to turn them over for other people for it to do the same thing for them.
Right.
But in doing that, it diminishes what it's done for you, you know, and so it because it doesn't belong to you anymore. It's not
Right.
yours. It's not just solely for you. It's not your healing anymore. Your healing has been done. It's for everyone else to heal with now, or to get or to grab, to pull something from. And again, the danger is I'll never forget like someone asking uh Brent one time what Crow and the Butterfly was about, and he told them, and it was in a line like out by the bus. We're all signing before we left, and he told them what it was about, and just kind of they deflated. Oh, I thought it was about this, huh? And
Yeah.
you could just tell it was like they were just like almost dumbstruck by the fact that they didn't have it figured out right. Whereas, and it's nobody's fault. Brent, they asked, and he told them, but uh, that's why I'm so cautious with that stuff now, man. Look, man, music is made to heal. This is why Shinedown doesn't interject politics into our music. We don't have political opinions. We don't have social opinions. We don't have any of those things. Is because what I am making and what Brent is making and Zach and Barry are making is for healing. I don't care if that healing's in a mosh pit or that healing's in your bedroom on the floor in the fetal position
A
or laughing
bedroom
with your
mosh pit.
or
Yes.
bedroom mosh pit in the fetal position on the floor crying with your cat. You know, like again, it's that is what music is about. That's what it's about. I don't have as an artist. This is where I get really weirded out about art, like bands and artists with serious political opinions about things. Is uh I feel like, and this is I'm very idealistic, but I feel like I forfeit my opinion. I forfeit right to have an opinion when I decided to enter this arena because uh, I'm here for everyone. I'm here for everyone. Anyone who I see soothing themselves with my music or with our music and feeling, some of those videos that Sanjay puts up, right?
Yeah.
I don't care what your background is. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your sexuality is. I don't care what your color is. I don't care where you go to church. I don't care if you go to church. I'm invested in your I've invested myself in a weird way. I say I mean we as the band. I'm
Yeah.
speaking from my point. We have invested ourselves in uh your healing, whatever that means. Your joy, your pain. Uh I'm invested in your pain as a fan. I'm invested in my fans' emotions. And I feel like it is a just this weird violation to cross over into hard political stances or hard social stances about anything. Uh, it's the beautiful thing about this band, man, and I don't think there are a lot of bands that can have the cross section of humanity in a building that we have,
Yeah.
and that are all there truly out of the love of our music. You know, that's not to say that look, it's not to say that things we write aren't inspired by things and events but I'm just saying I'm not out here banging a drum for a side or for a movement or for whatever. I'm out here banging a drum for I use the word healing a lot, but we need a lot of healing right now, and
Yep.
that's what I want. That's what I want Shinedown shows to be. That's when my record comes out, I want it to be healing for people, whether they like it or not. Uh,
It incites mass violence.
oh God. Joe Biden pulls a like a what was it? Was the guy that what was the guy that shot Reagan?
Uh,
Hinckley,
yeah,
Hinckley,
Hinckley. Yeah.
yeah, like this will be Biden's Hinckley record, where like he swears in my record he was told to go, you know, bomb a village in Estonia somewhere. I was listening to that, I was listening to that Eric Bass record, and man, it just spoke to me, and yeah, killed all those people.
The guy's in the courtroom and he's talking to you as a witness. Like, Eric, what was that song about? Well, it was actually about coming together as a. He goes, "Fuck, man, that's not that he's all deflated." Like, ah,
Yeah, yeah.
damn it.
Oh, all those people died. They didn't
I
have
hate
to.
artwork. Your artwork sucks, Eric.
Oh man. Yeah, so I know that was pretty long-winded and I got pretty deep in that,
Yeah,
man, but it's it's
that's
it's
good.
just it's just important, to say those things and the I talk to my friends who are political and my friends who are in politics and stuff about this all the time and it's the fact that it's impossible to have any sort of social hangups about, especially when people are genuine about what they're going through, whatever their struggle is, whatever's happening with them. Like if you really listen to people, listen to them speak in a human way, which is what I get to do. And when, I know we're not doing meet and greets as much anymore, but when we did meet and greets or when I get to talk to fans,
Yeah,
it's because it's so easy to put people in boxes and put people into that's what they love to do, right? That's what politicians love to do, is to put us all into, well, you're right wing and you're left wing. If you
yeah,
believe this right wing thing, then you believe all right wing things, and if you believe this left wing thing, you believe all left wing things, and there is no middle ground, and you go into a meet and greet and it just blows all of that bullshit out of the water, because you're talking to human beings who are living through an experience that no one else can have. And
correct.
then and so then, uh trying to trying to what's the right word? Trying to justify those points of you belong in this box and you belong in this box become moot at that point. There's no, it doesn't hold up. It doesn't hold water
Right.
when you come down to the human level. And as far as I'm concerned, that's all that matters, is the human level of those things. Uh, you know, Again, folks, doesn't mean I don't have political opinions. Doesn't mean that I don't have that I don't have uh, I don't think about these things ever, but it's not my place. It's not my place to to if I did that, I would remove the humanity from the music,
Yeah.
you know? And I don't want to do that. Uh, so John, back to the point, man, I think you should do a painting.
Oh, they
I think you should.
bombing
Not,
of a
no,
bombing in Estonia.
I really do, man. I think that go into it with some intention. Like it's pretty amazing what happens. And honestly, man, I'll tell you this too, how freeing it is. I've just started doing it. I've just started making these paintings. I'm probably going to do at some point. It won't be this year probably, but at some point I will do like I've thought about um I've got a bunch of poetry and stuff I've been writing, and I was thinking, man, it'd be really cool just to do like a book with the poetry and the paintings in it, and
Yeah.
just a coffee table book type thing with it. Maybe I'll have some vinyl with it. Maybe I'll do something on a record with it. So that stuff will come out at some point. That's the other important thing about art, by the way, that Rick Rubin brought to light for me when I was listening to him recently, which is the creative act is not complete until you release it into the world. So this is what has me saying that I need to put the record out. Is it's one of the things that really kicked me in the ass about it is the art isn't complete until you've released it, until you've put it out in the world and it completes its journey. Its
Yeah.
purpose, so you made this thing as a devotional act, right? And again, I'm super woo-woo about it, but that's just who I am. You make this thing as a devotional act, and then it heals you. You have to put it out there for other people. And so even when I'm making these paintings, one thing that makes me feel good is like I am literally making these paintings to heal myself because there are certain days that I don't have, like I've hit a brick wall with a song, or I've hit a brick wall with writing the book, or I don't have any creativity for this or that. Well, I know that I can probably complete a painting. I think when I first started them, I was doing them on tour, and the whole point was I'm going to give myself an hour to complete a painting. And that's it. At the end of an hour, it's finished. I sign it, it's done. Now that's worked its way into a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours when I'm at home now. I have more time.
Yeah.
And the paintings I think have gotten better. Some of them, a couple of those 1 hour paintings, there's one in particular that I think is got a lot of emotion in it, like a shit ton of emotion in it. And it's very simple. Um, but I love the fact that because one thing that can really trigger my depression is like I didn't do anything today. I did nothing productive today. And so I feel like if I do something creative, even if it's just that, it's productive in a
Yeah.
way because at some point I'm going to put it out and people are going to see it. It might not be till 3 years from now. I don't know. I don't know when it'll be. Um, but one thing I am worried about with the poetry and the paintings is that they're not happy things. Most of them, right? They all do stem from like a dark place, this darkness that I deal with, and I have a tendency not to want to paint or do poetry when I'm happy. I want to do it when I'm sad, and so the poems are dark.
Yeah.
Well, not dark. They're just deep and dark, and the paintings are deep and dark, and so I don't want to uninspire. I don't want people to look at this and be like, well, I was feeling great, now I don't feel great anymore. you
Right.
know but it's real. Again, I'm not making it for anyone else. These are literally for me. Why do you think like meditations, Marcus Aurelius, right? If anyone's not familiar with that, there's a book called Meditations, and Marcus Aurelius, who was indeed a character in the movie Gladiator, but he was a real emperor of Rome, probably the last great emperor of Rome, uh, because even his son, who took over after him, just you know, well, it's in the movie.
Yeah.
Was a shithead. Marcus Aurelius was not a birthright heir to the throne. He was adopted and placed there by, I forget his father's name. But anyway, Marcus Aurelius, this book Meditations, which some consider some of the best, most he's a Stoic, so considered a Stoic, and some of the most amazing advice you can get. Just look into. You don't have to read the whole book. Just look up quotes from Meditations by
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius. The interesting thing is that book was never supposed to. That was his diary. It was never supposed to be read by anyone else. It was just him and his thoughts, and that's it. He wasn't writing it for everyone. He was writing it for himself. That's why it's potent. That's why it's great. Um, so, and someone, whoever released it into the world, completed that creative act for him.
Imagine if that guy had died and like he was like, ah, make sure you get my book out there. And people are like anticipating this guy because they know he's such a stoic and legendary writer and thinker.
Yeah.
And that this editor, whoever, just went through, just changed words and like he really wrote this. Yeah,
Yeah,
he wrote this.
he did. He did. It says driving that train high on cocaine.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
what is a train
totally.
and what is cocaine?
Yeah. Don't ask questions.
Yeah, he
Don't
literally
ask
wrote the
questions.
word butthole. Yes. Interesting.
Oh man.
Well, I think this has
But
been good episode.
yeah, I think so. I mean, I probably look, everyone just let me know in the comments if I'm boring everyone, for God's sakes. I do
I
ramble.
love
I don't
it.
know if you've noticed that or not.
It's cathartic just talking, just like just putting it out there. Like there's
Yeah.
something cool about that.
Hey, if you do want to get into MH, uh, the Malaysian Airlines flight at some point, I'm
Oh,
down to do that. But that's really
we'll do
interesting.
a special episode for that where
Yeah.
we'll put that
Well,
behind a paywall.
I did. You might want to, because it's deep,
It's
man.
crazy.
Uh, but one thing I did want to get back to, originally, I think the beginning of the episode, 2 hours ago, we were talking about like why, you know, why it's so hard to find the planes, and stuff. And
Yeah.
do you know how fucking big the ocean is, man?
Well, again, to our point, how come no wonder you can't find any shit because no one's charted or done any type of.
Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the view of the Earth taken from the Pacific side of the Earth. So like, and again, we talked last week. There is
Oh,
no
it's all
picture of the
ocean.
Earth.
It's all
There is no
ocean.
pic. There is no picture of the Earth.
Correct.
But
This is
combined satellite images
yes,
of that
AI.
side
Yeah.
of the ocean. Like if you're looking like if you're looking down at like Hawaii, like if this is the Earth and Hawaii is here and Easter Island is here, like Pacific side, it's all ocean in a space that if you turn the globe over has Africa, South America, North America.
Pangea. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It Asia, Europe. So in that much, it's just so it's vast and it's unbelievably big. Uh, but so finding something like that is anything tiny in the middle of this vastness is going to be, you know, virtually impossible. Even if you know what you're looking for and where to look.
Right. Yeah. We should record an episode just based on that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
definitely.
yeah, I thought about something else I would like to talk about too, man. Uh uh I sent you that Alan Watts thing. Did you listen to
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. And he makes this point about, and I'm not going to go into who Alan Watts is, a philosopher. If you've heard the Nothing More record, which record is it? They use Alan Watts in between every song. All the interludes on the Nothing More record are Alan Watts,
Yeah. The 2 albums
which
ago.
is yeah, I think so. Let me see. Just forget the name of the record because I want people to know. Uh, it's the Stories We Tell Ourselves record. Uh, all of the interludes on that record are Alan Watts, and he's just this great thinker, philosopher, uh, really like hyper intelligent human being, and British, so he sounds smarter anyway.
Right.
All British people sound smart, unless they're like Cockney British, don't sound smart,
Hello, you fucking.
Hello, I'm a philosopher. That was more Australian, probably.
Yeah. Hello.
I have to get Ben on here. Ben from you formerly Vasky.
Yeah.
Ben,
He'd be a good guest though to talk about.
good friend of mine. Yeah, dude, we should get him on here for
Yep.
sure. Uh, but uh, but Alan Watts was talking about how if you just keep going inward and you keep getting smaller and you keep getting smaller, expecting to find something, right? So we shrink down into a microscopic level, and then you get down to an atomic level, and then you get down to a quantum level, and all you find is empty space. I'm really interested in this because I don't know if people realize like, um, and I'll figure out what the math is on this, but it's in an atom, the if you get down to the atomic level, people think, well, we're all made up of atoms, right? That's true. But if you get down to the atomic level, there's more space in an atom than matter. So you get down to the atomic level and there's the nucleus, and then you have, electrons and orbiting, literally orbiting this nucleus, and the distance from the nucleus out to the electron is something like the distance from the sun to Jupiter if it was scaled.
Right.
So you get down to like this small scale, and you think you're going to find substance, and you find more space, and then you get from the atomic level into the quantum level, and you just find, the theory is that there's just more space, you know, and so we're really made up of mostly nothing,
Right.
not
Right.
something.
Yeah.
I'd love to get into that,
Yeah.
man, too, but that's what Taco Tuesday is about. It's about being weird.
We still have to also talk about the Mount St. Helens Bigfoot. Yeah. So
Look,
like,
so like, look in the comments on this on this episode, like, let us know what you'd like to hear more about of the things we just talked about. Anything we've talked about. If you want to hear us talk about something that we haven't touched on, like, just let us know, because uh we are interested and here's the thing, I'm not scared to say I don't know anything about something,
yeah.
which it might cause me to have to go learn some things. So that's
Yeah. No,
good.
I'm not opposed to reading. That's why I love
I'm
like the
not
stuff like
I'm
the.
not a I don't know if you know this or not, but I am not a scientist. I am a musician,
Well,
and that's all.
the irony here is that Bill Nye, the science guy, also was not a scientist or a
Eng
musician.
Engineer, structural engineer.
Folks, the guy plays with Lincoln Logs.
Uh, Literally, that's what he
Yeah.
did.
But yeah, I think this is a great episode.
All right, well, hey, stay warm up there. I'll stay warm down here, like literally warm down
Yeah,
here.
and we'll beat our warmness, we'll beat somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
What?
penile warmness.